couldn't have thought of a better name for the closing speaker for Total Rewards and Wellbeing. Thank you so much for coming back on People Matters forums.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
It's always exciting, sir. And when we were prepping and we did a call, you said that, Pushkar, ask me anything. And I'll be candid and I'll answer, what I feel from my heart. So that's what we wanted to do today.
Sure, other than the names of my ex-girlfriend.
All right, I don't think we'll get into that, hopefully.
Okay.
But in the context of pay transparency, and how we design reward structures in organizations, one common piece across has been, Vineet, on why do the CEOs get paid 400, 500 times more than the median salary that an organization sort of has for employees? Is it fair for CEOs to get paid 400, 500 times more than the median salary?
Yeah, so there are two answers to this question. Number one, whether it is fair or not, what can you do about it, right?
Well, we have a lot of rewards and comp and ben leaders. They can definitely voice out to the boards.
I think the question is that the market determines the salary.
Yeah.
When you have a few people, the salaries are higher. When you have many people of a particular skill, the salaries are lower. So when you hire a CEO, and it really depends upon what your objective of a CEO is, let's assume that you want to hire a CEO to transform a business. How many people have that capability to be able to transform a business? Not everybody has the capability of telling you what to do, but very few people have the capability of transforming the business. And once you spot that person, which is 1 in a million, then the question is, what kind of market demand does that person have? And that determines the compensation that person will have. Now, assuming that you are a great salesperson and you are doing, very skilled work but are in Burma. Now, obviously, the demand, because the market is small, your demand is going to be much lesser. So salaries are not determined by organizations saying that the ratio between the top and the bottom should be 1:20 or 1:400. It really depends upon what kind of skill the market has. Take McKinsey, for example.
Yeah.
In McKinsey, every single partner, right, gets hugely compensated, and therefore their CEO and their partner will be 1:2 maybe. So that is not true with an IT company.
Yeah.
So if you really want to think of comp and ben, you have to take into consideration what is the capability and the skills available in the market for that role.
No, fair enough, but a lot of people then start feeling that, can some of that portion be taken and entry-level salaries can be increased? Because that's one of the huge cries that happens in the media as well, that, why, because the cost of living is going so high in different cities, then is it sustainable for getting some of that talent at that level?
Right, so let's look at the entry-level salary and the debate around it, right? The entry-level salaries are very high if you are coming up with rare skills. For example, a person coming from one of the top engineering colleges with computer science background, with Python capability, would be earning 2 lakhs a month. But if you are not an engineer or a civil engineer from a tier 2 college, and an organization is going to spend 6 months training you, then the salary will be the fact that we need to make that kind of investment in you. I think the question, there are two sets of people who have to ask the question. The employee has to ask a question in terms of what did I do for 23 years to build my capability so that I enter the 2 lakh a month. And the organization has to think about is how many 2 lakh a month kind of employees which are ready to deploy I need, and how many I need at a lower level, and that determines the salary. So I don't think a socialist argument of the fact, can a CEO salary be taken by front-end employees? I don't think that will work. What will work is that if the market incentivizes you to develop rare skills, right? For example, we will talk about AI, but if the market incentivizes to develop rare skills and you develop it, you'll get enough compensated.
Lovely. Because this keeps on going and, people start, questioning, but there is very little room over there of actually doing something about it and actioning some of that. So I thought that, it's important for us to sort of address that.
I think, let me extend this logic, what the organization can do and what an individual can do.
Yeah.
I think the organization is making a mistake by not showing the path. See, one of the issues I have with HR is HR shows salary increases on a linear scale where number of years is there. I think the faster HR moves away from it and creates a matrix that for this skill it is 3 lakhs, for this skill it is 30 lakhs, for this skill it is 60 lakhs. So therefore my trajectory of my self-investment is skill-based, not year-based. But you keep on saying that in 4 years you will be senior manager, in 10 years you will be general manager, and 20 years you will be vice president, then he gets it wrong. That means I don't have to develop the skills, I have to pass the number of years. From an employee point of view, irrespective of what the company is saying, he should or she should look at the market and understand where the skill is going. When I was in XLRI, graduating, I got a job from a very large FMCG company. And at that particular time, I said the number of people who are selling toothpaste is very high and will continue to be very high, but number of people selling computers is very low. So that's the reason I joined a computing industry at half the cost, at half the salary. But if you take that decision in terms of where the skill is going to be in high demand and make that investment decision yourself, I think you will do well.
Lovely. As CEOs, when times are tough, Vineet, and now with so much volatility around, there are many a times, there are tough situations. That's the point when they would say, we need all hands on deck. We need every effort to come and, be with us, be engaged, be with us, drive that. But then when wealth sharing comes in, it's not proportionate to some of those calls that would happen. Do you think there is a bit of a discrepancy over there in organizations?
Yeah, there is. So success is mine and effort is yours, right? But what happens is that there are leaders and there are leaders.
Yeah.
We were talking about this, people matter, right? Now, as a magazine name, it is good, but do they matter? Do they matter for a country? Do they matter? I work in education. I work with 2 lakh schools, 2 crore children. Do children who don't vote matter? They don't. So the question here is that the day the leadership understands that you cannot get anything done without employees, the leadership will start thinking of employees differently than the way they think today. Rule number 1. That is the reason I wrote employees first, customer second. I think the second issue which the leaders don't get is the fact that employees have access to what you said yesterday, last year, last 10 years. And there is in the market, there is a credibility issue with reference to, do you act on what you say or you say it for the same reasons? So if you're standing on a burning building and you know that the right answer is for everybody to jump, you would jump, but would everybody jump with you? It really depends upon how you have behaved in the past. So when the trouble comes, when the transformation is needed, people will follow a leader who has credibility because of the actions that person took in the past. Just by saying that, oh, let's do it, let's throw a party, let's just go for it, it is a challenging time, and you have beautiful videos and beautiful presentations and beautiful speeches, and you call Shah Rukh Khan to talk about, let's go. Nobody's going to go with you, right? It's a credibility, and that is the reason when your mother doesn't say anything, you exactly knows what she wants, and you do it. So it doesn't need a speech, it needs the intention, the power of intention. If as a leader you do not clean up your intention and you just have this verbose, you will not succeed and people will not jump up when you need them most.
Okay, lovely. Uh, from especially in the times we are in with all the tech and AI disrupting business models, industry 4.0, 5.0, there are so many versions that are coming forward. In such an age of AI, there is a huge skilling piece needed from the leadership and also for entire organizations as well, right? Do you think leaders today need to take that disproportionate step of saying that, you know what, we'll sort of invest and do this together, or we would still hire for skills and pay whatever we want?
I think we need to peel this onion slowly.
Okay.
First is AI is disruptive, is a fluff, don't believe it. It is a tool which has been in existence. I became aware of it in 2013. It has come in various shapes and forms. Just because ChatGPT UI is so good that everybody can use it, we are suddenly calling it the disruptor. That's point number one. It's a tool to be used as there have been many other tools. Number two, what is disruption? And we should understand this. As HR folks, you should understand what is disruption. When electricity came in for the first time, it had the potential but did not disrupt anything. It took 30 years for electricity to be made safe and run factories, and that is the time it disrupted. I started my first startup, we were talking about it, called Comnet in 1993 because internet came in. And internet was a new operating system. Everybody bought into internet. There was a lot of fluff. There was a lot of bubble. And you know, the bubble burst in the year 2000 where the valuations completely dropped. And it's only after that the Amazons and the Facebook and all those companies really and the Googles came about. So the second aspect of AI you must understand is that it's going to take time, right? It's not going to happen tomorrow. There is no urgency. The third aspect, which is, I think, by far the most critical, and there is where HR is going to play a role. Disruption is not doing the old thing in new ways. Disruption is finding new things, which people did not think about. Amazon, right? Delivery at home, buying on the net. Nobody thought about it. Creating communities on the net, Facebook. Today, what is happening is most leaders are trying to automate the old using the tool called AI. And they are putting AI in toothbrush, they are putting AI in a pram, they are putting AI everywhere, but they are not rethinking and reimagining. And we will talk about some examples of where it is happening. So AI as a productivity tool is an incremental change, and therefore talking about reskilling is not important. But the moment you start thinking about AI is a reimagining tool, that if you reimagine a process and rewrite the process and use AI, it's disruptive. Then the question to ask is, what skill are we talking about? It is 70% business transformation, business reimagining, and 30% technology. But what are we doing today? We are teaching AI to anybody and everybody, including the guy who serves you coffee, but we are not teaching them how to reimagine. That is true with our education system, that is to do with our induction, that is to do with HR, that is to do with everybody. See, the simple question I asked in HCL is, why do we have variable compensation? Nobody till date has been able to answer that question, that why do we have variable compensation outside sales? And then the second question is, they give me a long answer and then says, what percentage of variable compensation you pay? 99%, 97%. And I said, what does that not paying that 1% and 3% does to your organization? Creates a huge amount of uncertainty and creates a huge amount of disappointment. Then why do it? Why don't you have fixed pay? So the question is, there has to be a lot of critical questions which we have to ask ourselves. We have to reimagine the process. We have to reimagine how do we motivate people. We have to reimagine how do we give them purpose. We have to reimagine how do they participate in solutions we are building. So this whole reimagination needs a completely different set of skills, completely different set of induction, completely different set of being. Let me give you an example. I think it'll make the point a little more rememberable. There was a plumber, John, the plumber, who came to a rich man's house, and the rich man was talking to John and saying, this is a beautiful house, has been there for 500 years. This is where Michelangelo was called, and he painted it here. This is where Mahatma Gandhi sat. So he was going on every nook and corner of the house, which he was so proud of. And after 1 year, one hour, he asked John, John, what do you think? And John says, all this is fine, but where the hell is the leak? Now, the reason I'm saying this is when an employee comes into an organization, what do? We tell them how great the organization is, how beautiful it is 500 years old. You should be very proud of the fact that you're into this organization. And what is the employee thinking? What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
What problem do you want me to solve? Now, if you flip that argument, and the moment an employee comes in and you say, you know, we are screwed. We have a lot of problems, and only you can save us. Now, look at the kind of energy that employee will bring in. So I'm saying when you flip the logic of anything and everything you do, that is transformation. That does not need technology. That needs a liberated mind, an inspired mind, a mind which is going to flip the logic on its head.
Lovely. Liberation it is then. Vineet, now taking that forward on this whole aspect of trust, and you've written so much about it, you've talked so much about it. How are we doing on trust between employees and organizations with all that is changing around us? Are we, because a lot of it is also becoming transactional. You called it out in your book that time, and then till date you've been talking about it. Where do you think, have we performed better or we've gone actually down?
Yeah, so I wrote on my LinkedIn 2 days ago on Tuesday on trust. And the unfortunate truth is that the trust between the employee and the employer is at its lowest right now, right? And that doesn't worry me. What worries me is the trajectory is negative. The trust is only going down. And the reason for that is a couple of things. Number one, the leaders still believe, and I don't know why, that employees, and I think HR needs to be blamed for that employees can be hired and fired, and there are enough out there. We don't have to build them, right? And therefore, when a CEO comes in or a manager comes in, his value for an employee is not there. He believes that he is buying monkeys. You know, I'm paying you 10 lakhs, and I can buy somebody else for 12 lakhs, right? So that the fact that the human centricity of an organization is a collection of people coming together to pursue passionately a common goal. That is the definition of organization. Organization is not a collection of people you use to create profit for your shareholder. That's a wrong definition of. So that's one reason why that is happening. The second reason, as I alluded to this in the past, is leaders for a wrong reason assume that they will not be discovered. Leader's intention is quite transparent, right? I have a dog who's a golden retriever, beautiful. His name is Simba. He exactly knows my intention before, I can do it. Now, if my dog knows my intention, you think that, the human beings don't know your intention? Human beings are far more intelligent, and they know your intention irrespective of your words. Now, the leaders don't think the other person knows. And therefore, he misses the point, or she misses the point of communicating effectively. The third and the most important thing, I'm sorry it's controversial, but I'm going to say it, I'm not very sure the leader knows where he or she is going. And what will it take for he or she to get to where you want to go? So when you don't know, how can you create trust? When you yourself don't know how to get there, or where you want to go, how to get there, so at least you go and tell them, I don't know, let's figure it out together. You create trust. But instead of saying that, it says, I know, but I'm going to tell you later, and it's going to be a fabulous place, but trust me. Now, why should I trust you? Right? So I think it is sad, but the trust in the organization is at its lowest level. That is the reason there are so many startups which are coming up.
Do you think it's also, because it's a combination from both sides, right, Vineet? One is the employer side of things, but it's also the generation which is saying that it's totally cool to leave in 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, so this is something which I have fought against, and I 1000% disagree with you.
Okay.
this generation has more intention and has more purpose
Okay.
and is somebody I am very impressed with. And let me explain.
Okay.
Let me explain both logics. First is, let's talk about my generation and let's talk about my career. I started in the computing industry in 1985 when the total turnover of the computing industry would be 30, 40, 50 crores. The reason I did extremely well is not because I was good, but because the computer industry blew through the roof. And when it was blowing through the roof, we were growing at 30, 40%, 50% year on year. People had no choice, so they had to keep on promoting me. When I did a startup, people had no choice but to keep on buying of what I was producing. Some of it was not great, some of it was shit. So therefore, in an industry which is growing at 30, 40%, the growth and the opportunities are very large. Now the same organizations which were growing at 30, 40% now are growing at 2%, 3%, 5%. And when you're growing 2%, 3%, 5% because you want to conserve cash, you're happy with your market cap, you don't want to take risk, and suddenly you start preaching to Gen X that you don't have the energy, you don't have the same risk as we had, you don't have that, you guys don't have, we used to climb Mount Everest every day, you sleep all your way. And the Gen X guy is asking, where the hell is the opportunity? No, don't do that, don't do that, don't. My cash flow will get disrupted. No, can I do this? No, take permission first. How many permission? 10 layers of permission. What are you doing? So first is my generation, please shut up, right? You do not have any right to comment on this generation because you are not given the opportunity which our forefathers gave us and we had. India was shining at that time, growing at a colossal rate. It's not happening now. And therefore, this generation doesn't have that opportunity, point one. Point two, from this generation point of view, they're really frustrated. What should I do? They have been, fortunately, because the parents have done well, so they are financially secure. So my generation, finance was very important. What 2 lakh salary was very important. That 10,000 rupees increment was very important. It doesn't give them satisfaction. So if finance doesn't give them satisfaction, then the work content gives them satisfaction. The challenge gives them satisfaction. Solving a problem which did not exist gives them satisfaction. But we don't give them the opportunity. That is the reason they're turning to startups. Now, but the problem with startups is our education system have not taught them how to do startups. We have not, we were talking about people matters, profitability. You guys have done fabulous. And the question I ask you, if you have done so well, why are the others not done well, right? It's predominantly because our education system has not trained people to create startups and to reimagine problems and to take risk in a calculated fashion. So I think that is where it is. But I truly believe in this generation, if they are given an opportunity, and it is the responsibility of my generation to give the opportunities. Millions and millions of dollars we have earned. Yeah. We have to plow it back into this generation, give them the opportunity, allow them to take the risk. Otherwise, we are very selfish, self-centered set of buffoons who did not deserve the wealth we earned.
That's very humble of you to call it that way. I also want to get into this whole debate that is almost like a flavor that comes up every second month on number of hours of work that one needs to put in. Latest is 72 hours is what I heard. From 70 it has gone to 72 or 73. But yeah, it's ranging like that. And then you have Elon Musk who says, I work 80, 90 hours. I sleep in the office only. So you have all kinds of definitions, right? So if the share of wealth is not disproportionate, then is it fair to ask 70, 80 hours of work?
So first is, I don't know if anybody said 70 hours of work, right? I have never read that article, never read that statement. I don't know if, so I don't know. But
assume someone said that. And not from technology industry.
I need to take back that statement that you can ask me any question. I think the question here is that why would you go to a mandir, a mosque, a church on a Sunday, spend your own money, feel good about it, and then on Monday you go to your organization, get paid and feel bad about it? It's to do with purpose. It is to do with feeling good of what you do. It has nothing to do with number of hours. Do the organizations today inspire you to feel good about yourself? It doesn't. If it does, then I don't mind working 24 hours. When we did Startup Comnet, everybody was working 24 hours, not because I asked people to work 24 hours, not because I asked myself to work for 24 hours, is because it was so compelling, it was so exciting, it was so, that the questions we were asking, it was hilarious. I mean, there is nothing else I wanted to do, and that's what I wanted to do. So if you create an organization culture where the purpose is so omnipresent, so inspiring, that you want to jump up from your bed and climb Mount Everest every day, who cares the number of hours you work for? That's point one. And number two, the moment you start equating wealth creation with hours, you miss the point, because the wealth is created by value, not by hours. The reason Elon Musk is as rich as he is predominantly because of the ideas. He may work for 80 hours a day, but he should have said before that my IQ and my ideas are changing the world. And they are so exciting that I'm willing to work 80 hours a week, or whatever it is he wants to say. But if you don't say the first part, and you say only hard work, yeah, I can tell you, the number of people who are putting 12 hours of security shift every day, they are not millionaires. And then lastly, I will say that again to my generation, or around my generation, because I'm still 32.
I'm age group then.
Yeah. I think it's time we don't preach. Yeah, I don't think there is a right answer. Our days are over. There are new ways of doing new things. Let this generation figure it out, right? We did not do what our predecessors did. That's the reason we created a $3 trillion, $4 trillion economy. I think this generation will take us to $10 trillion in their own way, not in our way.
Lovely, lovely. Opening up for one or two questions as well, if anyone would love to. We are on the topic of fair pay, transparency, leadership, trust. Those are the contours in which we are having discussions. Anyone who would want to pick up a question for Vineet? Till the time people figure out, on the leadership gamut again, Vineet, are leaders ready to be more human in the age of tech?
I think they have no choice. They will be weeded out. You've already seen the employee response to statements which were not made, which you were referring before. See, you must understand that the set of intellect out there is far sharper, far intense, far knowledgeable, with more access to information than ever before. If you don't care for them, they don't care for you. You have to understand the equation. And I talked to so many CEOs, and I said, my generation was very sensitive to the amount of money you paid. Therefore, potentially you could have bought me. Not me, but many of us. This generation you can't buy. You cannot buy for any money. Because even if they take your $1 million, they'll bring 50% of themselves into the market, into your company, and 50% they will do what they do. See, look at this. I'm really fascinated by this religion organization. The amount of volunteers they have runs into thousands and thousands and thousands, and some very senior folks are standing in the parks where I go for a walk and distributing pamphlets, and And I look at that, they believe in that purpose, right or wrong, but they believe in that purpose. Now, there is no money element into it, right? So therefore, I think the question HR has to first understand, and I'll say this and you'll not like it, and after this I can leave. You must understand organizations were built for collection of human beings to pursue one purpose together. The only people who were trained to understand the human beings are HR. So the question you need to ask is, if the critical success factor of an organization's growth is the motivation, engagement, inspiration level of every employee, and HR is the only people who are trained to deliver that, or train the leaders and managers to be able to deliver that, the question is, are you doing it? Or are you sucking up to that leader who believes not in this, but that the only objective of an organization is to make profit for shareholders? And therefore, you have to also understand your role and responsibility in changing the mindset of the CEO who doesn't believe in the human being, to start believing in the human being's competence, capability, and ability to be able to transform what nobody could have ever imagined to make that imagine. Who sells that idea to the CEO? Who sells that vision to the manager? If HR folks are not going to do it, and HR folks are going to roll up and just put Excel sheets and 4% salary increase and 8% salary increase, remove this guy and add this guy, then are you doing justice to your profession? And that is the reason I always have a problem with HR. That you guys are the future. You guys are the people who will revolutionize the use of human beings to transform businesses using AI technology. The question is, are you waking up to the fact of your roles, responsibilities, your capability, and the opportunity that faces you? I'm not sure. And that is the reason I'm here. Wake up.
So, to wrap up this conversation, Vineet, what would be your start, stop, continue for the HR community? What would you want them to start, stop, and be on course and continue?
So first is, it will be, I'm not from HR, so therefore to be able to preach to HR will be the same thing as telling them to work 72 hours a week, right? So I don't want to do that. You guys are professional, and therefore I don't want to preach. But here are a few things for you to think about, right? And it starts with the story that there are a couple of ants which were sitting together in a library and talking about the future in life. And one ant said that I want to be the richest. Second said I want to be the fastest. Fourth said I want to be a CEO. But there was one ant sitting out there, and she had her legs up on the sill of a window and laughing her head off. And everybody turned to her and said, what the hell are you doing? We're talking about a future and, you're laughing your head off. And she says, because I don't want to be an ant anymore. I want to be a butterfly. Now, that journey of saying, I don't want to be an ant and I want to be a butterfly, every single HR person has to travel. I don't know what that butterfly is, and I can't tell you what start, stop for a butterfly is. But the question you have to ask yourself is, are you an ant and are you acting like an ant when the world needs for you to be a butterfly? What is a butterfly? Butterfly is attempting to take wings and fly, which no ant believes they can. And that attempt, seeing an ant trying to become a butterfly, is so inspiring that everybody in that organization will become a butterfly. So the only piece of start-stop I would give to HR folks is the fact that lead the way. Don't be bean counters. Lead the way. Try and imagine things. Try and inspire people in the way. No, don't stop this pizza party. There is a better way of doing it. And once you find that purpose, in Sampak Foundation, we have 500 employees working in remote villages, working with remote schools. We work with 2 crore children in 2 lakh schools. Look at the passion they work with, right? The amount of energy they bring to the table. It's absolutely inspiring. So if you bring that purpose into the organization and if you start inspiring by being a butterfly yourself, your organization will become a butterfly, and that day you will be very proud of yourself.
Thank you so much. We all want to be butterflies. Let me assure you of that. But thank you so much for always inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you so much.